All right, let's go ahead and create our very first endpoint that will return to the client a list of students. So we're going to build this thing incrementally, i.e. we're not going to build the database first and then so basically build the entire backend and then build the actual front end. So I want to build the bare minimum and then build some of the front end and then come back to it so you see exactly how pieces are put together. So let's go ahead and first create this very first endpoint. So go ahead and pretty much create another class and let's go ahead and call it student and then controller. So the purpose of this class is simply to return to the client a list of students in JSON. So let's go ahead and create a method. So go ahead and simply say public and then list, and this will be a list of students. So student and then get and then all and then students, just like that. This will not take any arguments. And for now, let's go ahead and simply say return and then lists dot and then of, and let's go ahead and say new and then student. And let me go ahead and fill this information. So go ahead and simply say uid.random uid, and then for the actual first name James, and then last name this will be Bond. And let me expand this so you can see exactly what we're doing. And now let's go ahead and simply add the actual email. So this will be James and then Bond at gmail.com, and then the actual gender will be male, right? So let's also add someone else. So let me actually duplicate that and remove that comma. So now let's go ahead and simply say Eliza and then Tamara, and this will be Eliza Tamara at, and then this will be hotmail.com, right? And then the gender will be female. So now we are returning to the client 2 students. And obviously for now, we are simply hard coding things so you can see exactly how to build the actual front end quick and consume some data. But obviously we're going to replace this list with a real database. Now, in order for us to tell Spring Boot that this method will be served as a GET request for any client to consume, we have to annotate this method right here with at and then get and then mapping, just like that. And one more thing that we have to tell Spring Boot is that this class will be served as a REST controller. So simply go ahead and say at and then REST and then controller. And also let's go ahead and say at and then request mapping, and this will have a request mapping of students. So when we open up our web browser, we can say localhost, the port, and then / and then student. So this is pretty much everything you need to do. So go ahead and start the application. So I want to press play. And you can see that Tomcat started on port 8080. Now let me go ahead and open up Chrome. And if I go ahead and say localhost and then 8080 / and then this will be students, or actually student. So if I press enter, you can see that we have this awesome JSON that any client can consume. So one plugin that I'm going to install is go ahead and simply type JSON viewer and then Chrome, and pretty much click on the very first link, add to Chrome, add extension. If I now close this, refresh, you can see that we have this JSON nicely formatted. And I've just realized that this should be students instead of student. So let me go back to IntelliJ, and right here simply add an S. And matter of fact, just let me go ahead and actually format this so you can see the actual student details. So let me just put that in a new line. Same here, over here, the same for the second student. And there we go. So now you can see things properly. Now let me go ahead and simply pretty much just click on this demo application. So I just want to show you something. So go to edit configurations, and then right here you have this checkbox, so single instance only. So if you tick that checkbox, what that means is whenever you restart the server or you start the server, you will always have one instance running. So you can see right here, instead of the actual play button, we have a restart button. So just let me restart. And also I want to stop and rerun for future executions. There we go. So if I go back to Chrome, and now if I refresh, you should see that we get a why error label page, because this is no longer student and it is students. So simply add an S, enter, and there we go. So this is it. We managed to create our very first endpoint with Spring Boot.